Namaste, Gurudev. What about the story of the two birds in the same tree, one eating fruit, the other is not, as mentioned in Upanishadas? What is the significance behind?
Indeed, this analogy is very ancient in the Upanishads, highly celebrated. This is a metaphor. This is a metaphor. And this particular analogy of birds and one single tree, two birds, one eating fruit constantly and the other is not, silently watching, has a great philosophical meaning, and also it shows that how the ancient composer of Upanishadic verses, they lived in the forests, in the jungle, in the wilderness, in order to attain their wisdom. This signifies that a vast amount of wisdom has come from the solitude of forest. So they used to live in the forest, and they loved birds, they loved trees, they loved the panorama of nature. This particular verse indicates that. But there is a philosophical significance, very powerful philosophical significance, which is extremely helpful in individual life, existing in this particular verse. Dva suparna sauja sakhaya samanang brikshe purishasya jate. Dva suparna, two birds, sauja sakhaya, they are living together. Sauja, sakhaya, they are friend to each other. They are similar of nature, in nature. Sauja sakhaya. Samane brikshe purishasya jate, they are hugging to the same tree. They are living in the same tree. Tayaranna pippalam swaduvatti. One of them enjoy succulent fruits, delicious fruits. Anasnan obichakushiti, anasnan, without eating. Unna, the other one, obichakushiti, only watches, only witnesses. This is a marvelous thing. And we will come to the next verse later on. First, let us explain what is the tree. The tree indicates human body. Human body is like a tree, a living tree, a moving tree. It produces enormous amount of fruits, art, literature, music, and it has the opportunity to enjoy senses and enjoy the world, name, fame, position, power, money, wealth. So this pleasure is with the individual, an individual human being. But this could not be possible unless the universal soul, the universal consciousness would be there behind it. Like we are talking here, under this light. The world is moving under the sunlight. The sun is tranquil, the light is tranquil, and in this light, the whole world is moving. Exactly in the same way, one bird, that is individual consciousness, it has the individual identity. It thinks that it is individual identity, like it thinks that I have a father, I have a mother, I am so and so, I have these things. So individual soul, individual personality. And the other bird is universal. It does not need to enjoy senses. It doesn't need any sort of name, fame, position, power, fruits, nothing. It enjoys because it is full of joy. Satchidananda. It is wisdom itself, is the knowledge itself, and joy and awareness, supreme awareness. So this bird is observer, and under the witness of this bird, the other one is enjoying the world, enjoying the world. So these two birds means two souls. Two souls, basically one, but they are by the Maya, by the divine power, by the divine nature, they are apparently seem to be two. So one bird is enjoying, other bird does not enjoy. This is the fundamental point. In the same tree. and they are in the same tree, and at the same time they are similar type. They have the similar nature, similar characteristic. Take for example a drop of milk. A drop of milk cannot produce any kind of sweet. But the same drop of milk, when mixed with a bucket full of milk, what happens? When some preparation would be made out of that milk, that one drop is also used. So each individual is a drop, and totality is the universal consciousness. And this universal consciousness is connected with every individual. Otherwise the individual would not be able to move, would not be able to accomplish his tasks, fulfill his desires. Why we are here in this world? Firstly, to fulfill our desires, our residual desires, the desires that had been lingering to our soul for maybe thousands of years, and some desires are fulfilled and some are not. So in order to fulfill that desires, worldly desires, we are here, and at the same time to attain wisdom. Now what is the resultant? What is the reaction of enjoying the world? And in the process of enjoyment, the individual soul becomes attached. Attached. What is habit? What is habit? The thing that you do over and over again becomes your habit. And habit is the second nature, they say. Not only second nature, the first nature too. Everything we do from habits. And habits grow from over and over again. Practicing over and over again. So when an individual enjoys food, sex, house, money, position, power, prestige, it drugs its soul. It drugs the individual soul. It wants it over and over again and again. Without this, it becomes frustrated. So says, when one bird constantly eating fruit becomes sad, becomes depressed, overwhelmed with grief, at that particular moment, what happens? It is mentioned. So this is one serious point mentioned in the Gita too. Dhyate vishayane punksha sangasteshu payati sangat sangjate kama kamat krudho vijayati krudhat bhavati sangmaha sangmaha siti vibhrama siti bhrangshat buddhinashat pranashrati. Dhyate vishayane punksha. When a person constantly thinking of material things, perishable things, pleasures of the world, he gets attached to it, and from that attachment comes delusion. He loses his right memory, remembrances of the right ideas, and his intelligence is lost, and when the intelligence is lost, he is lost. So this attachment brings misery, because an individual is not here to be involved with the world, in the whirlpool of the world. Individual is born here to move towards the ocean of consciousness, expansion. His 15 degree or 10 degree or 5 degree of mind must be 360 degree. It must be expanded. Expansion is life. So when one becomes attached to the worldly things, money, prestige, power, and all the material things that you understand very well, then his flow is blocked. And when the flow is blocked, like the air is blocked, the atmosphere becomes polluted. When the flow of life, when the flow of consciousness, the flow of mind is obstructed, then the misery starts. Grief, uneasiness, unhappiness, all things prevail over him. Like the bacteria attack health. A person who has no health, who has lost his health, all the bacteria attack and brings a lot of diseases and makes him handicapped. So this individual, it is said that samane brikshe purusha nimagna anishaya, in the same tree, purusha, the individual soul, having been attached too much, is steeped in misery, is submerged under grief. Anisha, shochati, it thinks, it laments. And anishaya, what is anishaya? In Sanskrit word anisha means helpless. It becomes helpless. If you have fever, you take a tablet. If you have typhoid, you take some medicine. The doctor comes and gives you medicine. But such a problem, when because of your long attachment with material things, with senses and the worldliness, which is not your real nature, when the misery grips you, when the misery assails you and overwhelms you, you cannot come out so easily. No doctor can do anything, no parents can do anything, no teacher can do anything, not even the gurus can do anything. Gurus can show the way, that's all, but they cannot help. They cannot help you get out of the misery. So what happens? You are steeped in that. Now this verse says very clearly, very beautifully, that how you can get rid of that misery in which you are submerged. That instruction is coming to this verse. That is why it is so important. With a small beautiful analogy, this vast thing is explained. That is the great credit of the poet. Great credit of the poet. It says that this bird then next, what does it do when so much of misery? It looks at the other bird. It looks at the other bird. It lifts up its countenance and looks at the other bird. And then, Shochati Mujamana. And when it becomes helpless, it looks at the other bird. And, Dushtam Jadonnamishamishya. When he starts, not only looks at the other bird, refuses into the other bird, but it starts worshipping it, praising it, worshipping. Worship is a very important thing. Puja. Pu means purity. Ja means grows. It grows purity. The performance that helps you to be pure is called puja. Puta. Puta means pure. Ja means jayate. The performance, the action, the kriya that helps you to come out of impurities is called puja. So Jushtam means worship, puja. Jushtam jada onnam isha musha. This particular isha, God, this particular God which is a bird which doesn't eat anything, when he starts worshipping this bird, then comes how to worship. Now the point is that, how to worship this bird? How does he worship? So we know in the Hindu scriptures, there are enormous amount of instructions of worship. You practice yoga, you practice meditation, and one who thinks of God constantly is a kind of puja. He worships God by reflecting on God constantly. And somebody tries to focus his mind on the form of God, on the glory of God. And then we worship also, in the temples or at home by ringing bells, by making arati and lighting candles, lighting incenses and putting fruits, flowers, water and all these likable materials to gods, and everyday worship. So worshipping are of many kinds. Akattena prithakattena bahuda vishwatamukham. It's very beautiful. Gita says, Ekattena. Some great sages, they worship God having identified with God. I am the Brahma. Aham Brahmasmi. Tattvamushi, thou art Brahman. Ayamatma Brahma. This world is Brahman. And Sarvam Khalidam Brahman. And Soham. And that supreme consciousness is nothing else but myself. So that way this identify one's soul. And slowly it realizes the identification and gets rid of the impurities and suffering. And Bahuda Vishwatamukham, Ekattena Prithakattena. Some worship God having separated duality. So non-duality and duality. Non-duality is a kind of worship and duality is a kind of worship, that you consider God to be your Lord and you pray to Lord, oh Lord, help me come out of this suffering. Help me rousing my devotion, concentration, happiness. So that way, taking God as father, as mother, as friend, there are many, many ways, like Krishna and Arjuna were like friends, each other. Jashoda and Krishna were like mother and child. And as it is said that somebody asked Hanuman, how do you look upon Rama? So Hanuman said, sir, when I work, I think that I am a servant and my Lord is Rama, I am working for him, so I must do the best. Then when I think, reflect, I think that the Rama is complete, I am a part of it. I am a part of it, like the sun and its rays. And when I am in meditation, in samadhi, I feel Ram and myself are one. There is no difference. So a river has a name, Bagmati, a Ganga, but when it merges in the ocean, it has no name, no form. So I am one with this. So there are many ways of worshipping. You worship by yoga, you worship by austerities, you worship by concentration, you worship by dedication, you worship by prayers, and so many ways you start worshipping, and worship does not bring you misery. This is to be understood very clearly. Worshipping the infinite consciousness, unlimited consciousness, the infinite consciousness which is not attached or connected to the senses. It is beyond senses, beyond disease, beyond old age and death. When you start worshipping it, worshipping means you try to surrender yourself like a river surrenders to the ocean. You try to surrender yourself to the divine. Without surrendering, without self-surrender, there is no way to be happy. So this way of self-surrender is justam. So you worship. And now, what is the result of worship? There's one point comes. Somebody may ask a question, that if I worship, what is the result of it? That is also mentioned here. Justam jada onnamishamusya mahimanamiti bitoshoka. He becomes free from misery, but how? By realizing the greatness of God. We watch every day trees, mountains, rivers. We see everything around us, but we have no time to think that how great is God, how master, how great, how skilled God is to make such a marvelous, meticulous world, finely chiseled, finely managed, and finely accomplished. So this great thing that God has does, we forget. We forget God. We get a mango and start eating it. We get cake, start eating it. We never think that the cake is made from wheat, and no scientist can make a wheat. All the scientists of the world together cannot make a wheat, because God can make the rudimental thing, original thing, and individual cannot make it. They can only make chemical mixture and physical compound and chemical mixture. That's all.
Can I ask you a question here?
Sure.
Sir, had there been no other bird existing, the lower bird would not be existing, then a higher bird with God would not have an existence. Because if the souls would not have any existence, what is the meaning
There is
of
the
God?
difference here.
Sir.
I will explain to you.
Right.
There is the difference here.
I mean,
The individual bird, the individual soul, known as the bird which is eating fruit,
right.
however, that bird has certain limitations. Though everything is infinite, everything ultimately is infinite, but it has certain limitations. And the other bird, which is not involved with the world, has no limitation. So there are qualities. So that is what I am going to say to you now, that after worshipping in whatever way he wants or he likes, or his nature fascinates him, worship, whatever fascinates him, after worshipping, what does it get? He gets purity of the soul. Upashana means coming very near to God. Upa-ashana, sitting near God. So this upashana, this worshipping, after that he gets the purity of the heart. And when the heart is pure, clean, pristinely clean, then what happens? The glory of God is reflected on him. He gets devotion. He gets emotion, ecstasy. So the reflection, glory of God. So what is the glory of God? Mahimanamiti. By realizing the glory of God, Mahima, Bitoshoka, then only he is rid of this illusion called misery. Misery is an illusion. Your misery is different, her misery is different, his misery is different, my misery is different, because we are attached to different things. So this misery, what is not right, what is not natural, that comes to reality, that comes to spiritual reality, that nothing belongs to you. You are only given chance to use it. So this thing we have to understand, that God, apparently looking, God has many qualities that individual has to develop or to realize and to develop in himself also. First of all, some qualities cannot be developed. For instance, God can create original things. He can create rudimental things. He produces in the universe everything from his talent, from his capacity. Individual can combine them, mix them. Individual cannot produce rice, cannot produce water, cannot produce fire. But these three can combine, and you can do this. Intelligence of individuality is to combine things. That is one quality. Second thing, God works with concentration. Individual sometimes have no sufficient concentration. He works with concentration. And he works with love. Individuals work with desire, with greed, with jealousy, with competition. And they have to satisfy their personal end. But God works out of love. That's why he never commits mistake. He never gets tired. He's constantly working because he has no individuality. He has no individual ends. So this is one quality. Other quality is God is unipurpose and multilateral. He is unipurpose and multilateral. He is one purpose. He has a single purpose, that all beings should get benefaction, welfare of every living being. And what is the highest welfare? He will make every individual like himself. Every drop of the rain will be ocean. Every drop of the rain will be river. So every individual, whosoever, like from the lower species to the highest human species, all will come back to God consciousness. Have to be. The individual consciousness must be transformed to God consciousness. So much of environments created. It is his lila. It is his game, they say. So this thing is there in the God. But individuals have multi-purpose and unilateral. They are unilateral, multi-purpose. They think, oh, I have to construct a house. Oh, I have to marry my daughter. Oh, I have to educate my son. I have to do that. I have to do that. I have to do this business. I have to do that business. So many kinds of things. His mind is distributed to many things, but he can do only one thing at a time. But God has one purpose, but he does many things at a time. This is a great quality. And he never commits mistake. You don't see a coconut in a mango tree by mistake. So he is flawless.
Is that so, that when an individual consciousness grow to God consciousness?
That is what the Bible also says, that be thou as perfect as thy Father in heaven. Be thou as perfect as thy Father in heaven. Even Bible says so. That is what the Upanishada says, the story says, that you go on worshipping so much so that ultimately you have the God qualities, and in the God qualities, when the God qualities develop, you become selfless like God. You become broad like God. You become wide-minded, great-hearted like God, and you work everything with concentration, work everything with love, with selflessness. So these all high qualities which are praised over the world, they are coming from God. An individual can cultivate that. That way one has to. But greatest thing here in this verse, it is mentioned that you have to develop love. Love brings everything very quickly. Here worshipping means developing love with the Supreme Creator. When you think of the Supreme Creator, when Supreme Creator has a joy, like people think of money, why? Because there is a pleasure in the money. People think of position, why? Because there is a sort of stimulation in the position. But the God has the greatest position, greatest stimulation. God consciousness is the greatest ecstasy, high ecstasy. And that ecstasy, when grips you, you proceed towards God. All the great qualities follow you. All the great qualities follow. Like the engine, when the engine starts moving, then what happens? All the compartments follow it. So when you really have loved God, you will find all the fine godly qualities are coming automatically within you. So that way, what will happen? Bita shoka. Bita shoka. Shoka means misery, unhappiness, grief will all be bita, long gone away, far away. It will not come near you, because God and misery cannot go together. Jahan Ram tahane kam, jahan kam tahane Ram, Ravi Rajani kabu na mile ek tham. Day and night cannot compromise at one place, at one time. So when there is Ram within you, the awareness of the divine, awareness of the supreme consciousness, your individuality is lost and your misery is also vanished that way. That is the meaning behind it. Thank you.